There is a podcast about an island in the North Atlantic where people have been looking for an incredible treasure for more than 200 years.
Hello, and welcome back to Could It Be?
An Oak Island podcast.
We are your hosts, Deidre and Dustin White.
Whoa, hey.
Hey.
What's up? We are here to recap once again. It's been a while.
Well, it's actually called Yes We Can.
Well, yes, we can.
And we're going to recap it. That's the theme of this.
Yeah, so yes, we can recap a podcast, and yes, we can.
And yes,
recap,
we will.
Yes, we can. Yes.
Yes,
we can. All right, so hello to people that are joining in the chat because we are live, and this is going to go up on our YouTube, or this is going to go up on our podcast feed once again. We're all discombobulated a little bit, but we're happy to be back, and welcome.
And
welcome back to Could It Be? We're sorry that we've been kind of real hit or miss. Deidre's work has made it so that we're kind of it's really it's hit or miss, but it's mostly miss with getting a podcast made. However, we're trying something new for people that are podcast only listeners. This might be the only time you hear it, but we're doing something new where we're doing a recap directly after the show aired on the History Channel.
Yes.
On the East Coast with the East Coast feed. And we are going to see how this goes. We actually have a lot of slides that we're going to be showing and going through with this. So there's going to be a visual element, but we'll do the best we can to describe everything we're showing. That way we can all stay on the same page.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yes.
All right. So without further ado, wait, how you doing? You doing okay?
What the heck?
How you doing?
I'm good.
You're good. You're good.
Well, I'm a little discombobulated, clearly.
Yeah. Well, I'll keep it going then while you're uncombobulating. But yeah, so we watched Yes We Can tonight. It was a fun episode of The Curse of Oak Island. Lots of stuff going on, like some shocks, like things I did not expect.
Like, whoa.
Like, spoiler alert.
Spoils.
Turn away if you haven't seen the show yet.
Right.
But can number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I did not see that coming.
We had approval for 4, and that was like ambitious. They're like, do you have a place for a couple cans earlier in the season? And then Craig, it's like, oh yeah, we've got 4 of them, right? Nobody said about a Hail Mary here.
It's a Hail Mary.
But we gotta wait. We gotta get there. So we're gonna be following the show as the show aired.
Yes.
Which is different for us.
Yeah, we usually do like, hey, we're going to talk about the money pit. Hey, we're going to talk about the swamp. But we're going to kind of do it chronologically this time, and we'll see how it goes. So we hope you enjoy, and let's see how let's see what happens. All right, so let's go ahead and bring up some slides. It's already up. It was already connected. Now do that one there. Now you have to click on the slide itself. There we go. Look at that. We have screenshots. All right. So we started at the money pit.
Yes, we did.
And the can was, making its way. It was advancing.
We were still working on DMT 2 at this point.
Yes.
Because we had just got down to.
Yeah. And we hadn't talked about that. So that was named after Drake Tester once again. And that was very nice and, nice way to honor him. Yeah. And at this point, at the beginning of the episode, the can was advancing at 137 feet.
Yes.
Everyone seemed really excited, but Craig, he thinks it's going to get really exciting after 145 feet. So that's the real magic number they're eagerly anticipating.
So should I be advancing this? I'm not even sure.
Oh, yeah. Just go ahead. Can you do it?
I did click on it.
You're supposed to say, yes, we can.
No, I can't.
Are you zoomed in?
No.
Okay, try that. Now try clicking it. There you go. We got some.
I guess that'll work.
Yeah. So you're just going to kind of flip through them as we go. So we're currently showing like some hammer grabbing, then some metal detecting, because we have Gary metal detecting with Peter.
Yes.
And there was a flashback of finding metal with gold on it at one point, and then they actually hit something when they're doing the metal detecting. There was another kind of strange piece of metal,
right? What looked like an older piece.
Yeah.
Of metal.
Well, as soon as he pulled it up, I was like, "Oh, that's just another part of the head and shield."
That's exactly what you said out loud.
Yeah, but I guess I'm wrong, because once we got a closer look at it, it definitely looked a little bit older.
Yeah. So Gary, hands over to Pete and is like, "Yo, go deploy this to the troops at the operating table." And here's a good shot for those of you that are watching live here of that piece of metal. And this is when you were like, "Oh, I guess it is really old."
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it definitely looks very old. So that was exciting to see, because I was like, well, that's something.
Well, that's something.
Yeah. So Craig basically orders an XRF scan on this piece of metal, as he should. And then we have
Sir Marty arrives on the scene.
Yeah, and Marty arrives, and it's like, "Hey, give me the lowdown." And so, but at that moment, the hammer grab was coming back up, and there was a problem.
Yeah, you could hear it very clearly.
And Marty's like, "Whoa, Nelly!"
And Craig looks really disappointed, like super disappointed. You hear that, and what you're seeing on the screen, for those that can see it, is kind of the the aerial view of the hammer grab coming back out, and you can see the cable that's like tangled up in there.
Okay, before we move on, in the chat, Trisha says, "Didn't someone say at the table dismissed the metal as looking modern?" I don't remember, and we're doing this so fast, we didn't get a chance to watch the episode like 3 or 4 times like we usually do. So if we missed something like that, thank you, and point it out to us.
I was sure that they said that it didn't look modern, but that either way, it makes sense to do the XRF on it, right? Because you're gonna, it's gonna know either way, right?
Yeah, it's gonna leach the elements into it, right? So
Gary was hoping that, like what we had seen in the past with gold fragments being on it, that this could be the case.
Yep. All right, so then we have the arrival of one of our new favorite twosomes.
Don't go anywhere yet. So we know that Gary and Michael John show up, but looking at this picture, for those of you who are here, do you see all those stakes?
I do.
In the ground?
Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, at least 8.
And they're all very uniformly spaced, different colors. Do you remember seeing the post earlier in the season online where all the archaeologists were painting stakes? This is clearly those.
That's what you
but
think?
I'm wondering if this is kind of like the marking of the grid system they've been using in order to find stuff. So I'm like, how far apart are each of these?
So what lot is that?
Well, let's see here. It would be directly across from
8.
Actually, this might be 8. So I bet you on each of those it has the number, because on the bags they have the number within the grid of where it's located.
Okay.
So you're driving down, you're like, okay, I know it's gonna be whatever number, and then you'd be able to follow it along for all the flags that are within that area.
Perhaps.
Because, they have to map out everything.
They do. Exhausting work.
But I liked seeing a physical grid in action.
Who works harder, you or Oak Island people?
Me, because they won't just give me the information. I have to sleuth. I have to work backwards.
Oh, I meant to at your job.
No, probably them.
She's gonna say probably still me.
I mean, probably still me. No.
Well, it depends who you're talking about. If you're talking about Steve Guptill, then definitely you. Just kidding. Just
You're
kidding,
so
Steve.
mean.
No, we'll get to Steve here in a little bit.
Oh,
All right,
Guppy.
so we are arriving on lot 8.
Yes.
Michael John is the lucky digger this time
He's always the lucky digger.
for Gary Drayton's activities. All right, so we did have a flashback of what happened on lot 8 last week, where they had like they were doing, like, Marty was in the backhoe digging up a 5-foot deep hole with like Laird, and I think Scott was there.
Yeah,
and
where the magnetometer hit.
Yeah,
was right.
Yeah, and so we have that happening, or we see that, and then it's when they said, "Oh, there could be another paved area over here," and I'm thinking like, "What?
What?" Well, that's what they were saying when they were digging. Is that this could be. I mean, it looks a lot like another paved area, especially with the wood chips and such.
Yeah,
and
the garnet
was found on that site.
Lot 8.
Yeah, on lot 8. So we had the garnet found over there. We had the possible additional paved area over there. There was a few other.
Well, because Laird seemed pretty sure that those rocks were purposefully placed. He's like,
"Oh yeah,
look at all this organic material." Yeah, we didn't have a chance to really talk about this with everybody. So that's impressive and kind of exciting, but it's like, what? Like, this is a whole different part of the island. Like, come on, why can't we just like go to the money pit and find it, right?
Exactly.
But yeah, so
what is going on here?
I don't know. You broke your computer.
I did not.
Oh, okay. All right. So, anywho, let's see. Oh, you know what? We didn't say hi to Dana earlier when we did our pregame. So, hi, Dana.
Sad.
I want to make sure we say hi. We heart you, too. All right. So, Gary and Michael are out on lot 5, kind of following up on Scott Clark's theory.
Yes.
And what a theory it was, man. I love listening to that stuff. But they get it, Gary had, before this, he had gone out and marked all these areas, right?
Yes.
But so they go to the first target. He verifies it's there, and he has Michael John dig it.
Could we get him a longer shovel, please? It was awfully short for such a tall guy. Poor guy's going to hurt his back. See, I'm worried about ergonomics of him. But yeah, pull it up.
Yeah, well, what'd they find?
What looks like a piece of a chain. Very crude. It was oval, which Gary points out would mean it would be older.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's an old chain link that's unbroken. So that's pretty cool. It's horse of a different color. You don't see it every day.
What's a chain doing out in the boonies, even for Oak Island? And Michael John agrees.
Of course he does.
Something must be going on.
That was funny. Yeah, so then they, get to the second site, do another quick pass of the metal detector, and Gary has Michael John dig. He digs up an ox shoe.
Ox shoe.
Lo and behold, another ox shoe.
Near an area where it looks to be another path. Do you remember the Oak Island Highway from the end of last season?
I do.
Could this be a branch of it?
Wait. What was the question?
Oh, the Oak Island
what was the question? What was your question? Wait, say it louder. What?
Do you remember the Oak Island Interstate?
Oh, yeah, girl.
Oh, yeah, girl, I do. Of course I do.
Oh, I was like, why are you stopping me? I see.
I had a reason.
Okay.
There was a rhyme to my reason.
Well, there was a reason.
Yeah, so like it was I don't know, it's just kind of I don't know.
Ox shoes are good, right? Because we found a bunch of them before, which put them on potentially a track. And like Michael John and Gary are saying is this wasn't farmland, right? They've grown pretty big rocks out in this area, and how old the trees are. Like, it just doesn't scream farmland. This is the boonies of Oak Island. So something more industrial would make sense to be going on out here.
Yeah.
And beasts of burden and chain. And
well, it just goes to show
Bobby
there's
Dazzlers.
Some hauling was done in this neck of the woods. Literally this neck of the woods. So
of the oak.
Yeah, I mean it's just interesting. Like,
Mhm.
what is this stuff doing there? Not a whole lot ever went on Lot 8 as far as they can, as far as like records show. Nobody's ever lived there. What's going on? All right, what's going on? So,
No, I think that's what we've been trying to answer, right?
Yeah.
What is going on here? And every time you think you can take a group of people off the board, you add, someone new, like the Portuguese.
yeah, why not? And so Gary says that they are definitely onto something. Why is this out here, out in the middle of the island? Why are they finding these things? So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then, so like, we're still going chronologically because this is new and we're figuring it out. But we go back to the money pit briefly.
We do.
Do you have any? What else is going on with your slides? Oh,
I was just going through the bit of what was left from Lot 8, but
Sure.
we do go back to the money pit where we can see that they're untangling and fixing the hammer grab that was all tangled up, that we knew they lost a couple hours.
Yeah.
Right.
And this is one of the not so good parts of doing this way, because there was some small talk between Marty and Craig that I had to capture in real time, and I couldn't capture it because I couldn't rewind it or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not exactly sure what was said. Do you remember what they were saying to each other?
No.
That's okay. So they, at this point, were at a depth of 146 feet with the dig, and the can was inserted into the ground up to 157 feet.
Uh-huh.
Clotworthy says that the chapel vault was at 153 feet historically.
Oh, wait, you said they were digging at 146?
That's what I thought.
Yeah. No, that's right. 146, and that the casing was 157.
Yeah.
And that, because they're trying to get to the chapel vault, which is 7 feet tall.
But something was amiss.
Yeah.
Something was very amiss up to this point in the money pit and the whole episode, really. Where's Rick?
Yeah.
Where was Rick?
He's MIA.
He was just like, I don't know, doing something else apparently. But wait, there he is.
he arrives just in the nick of time when things are getting interesting, right?
Yeah.
And they're pulling stuff out of the hammer grab.
That's to advance.
Oh.
There you go. See, this is we have an image with what's the guy from Choice's name? Or not from Irving? Don't remember.
Well, now I can't remember.
Yeah,
Thanks.
And we have a representative from Irving on the screen. We also see Charles Barkhouse, Spoondog, Marty, and Craig. And then that's when Big Brother arrives.
Of course.
The cavalry comes in. Oh, we have this awesome. Is this an animation?
Yeah, it's an animation where it's showing they're at the level where they're right before they're possibly grabbing up on the chapel vault if it is fully encased in this caisson.
Heck yeah. That's what we wanted to see.
Oh, Allison in the chat says it's Andrew. Andrew is the name of the gentleman from Irving.
Thank you so much.
Right on the tip there.
Yeah, Andrew. Seems to be a hard worker.
Danny manning the battle station.
Yeah.
And we started advancing, and then it's hilarious to see Spooner and Craig go in there because they like get stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And Craig kind of nominates Dr. Spooner. He's like, hey, you want to come get in there with me? Because he doesn't like want to dive in by himself. And maybe it's a safety precaution. Like you never go into the mucky spoils alone
unless
because
you're Rick
it'll
Lagina.
Get sucked in. Yeah, but everybody follows Rick because Rick rolls.
Yeah.
But they're pulling up puddled clay.
Puddle clay. Yeah. So this clay find was pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
They was, it was just something that was in the spoils pile that Billy was spreading out. Billy was there, by the way, as well.
Naturally.
And Spooner says that this is a very fine clay.
Uh-huh.
So there was a flashback to the Onslow Company finding similar materials. Also, Chapel, is this HR Chapel?
Yeah.
Would have when he Okay, so when they found the chapel vault, they encountered this kind of clay on the way down.
Yeah, so it was like on top of the concrete. So
Yeah.
they got that, and then they went into the concrete and then to the wood.
Yeah.
And also they mentioned the same clay is like what they had found in the money pit originally on the logs in hopes of maybe it was for sealing off the booby traps with waterproofing. So that's exciting, right? I mean, Spooner's excited to see the clay come out, and
he's like, "Yay, mud!
Yay, mud!" I mean, that's what you get from a swamp doctor.
Yep.
But that's what you'd want to see if you think the vault's nearby, right?
You know, I think they should gather up all this clay, give it to Jack Bagley, and I bet you he can make some cool sculpture out of it, and put it in a kiln, and
do you think Jack Bagley's like a
I don't know, I imagine
ceramic?
I just imagine he can do it.
Yes, he can.
Yes, he can. Oh man. Yeah. So then it was funny. Keep going. So one of the things that when Rick arrived, Gary was standing next to him, and he said, "It's raining with a chance of treasure."
That's right.
I thought that was really funny.
And with the next one, they had a chance of wood.
Wood?
Could it be a lot of it? And it looks old, and they're big pieces.
Yeah,
like,
big old chunks.
Everybody goes in there, and everybody comes out with big chunks of it. It's kind of bananas. I mean, you're looking at like almost full timbers here, right? So it'll be interesting to get more data from it.
Big sections for sure.
And especially the ones that like Spooner has that looks like a really flat, wide plank. Like to me, I think, that's got to be on top of
the vault.
Right? They just hit the clay and they're pieces from it. What?
Yeah, well, Spooner, when he was looking at it, he said it definitely looks older and it's very heavy.
Yes.
So it's like probably like every fiber of it's probably like just soaked, to the core, where it's just the whole thing's waterlogged.
Yes, but he also points out because down there you don't have air, right? It's in an anaerobic environment, so that is going to preserve the wood really well, which is why you're not seeing it like just disintegrate into pieces. So so that's a good thing, right? It means it's been down there a long time.
Yep. So Billy, he noted another piece of wood that he sent Spooner over to pick it up. He said, yes, it's very heavy again. Rick, Craig, and Marty are all impressed by the big, large timber that Spooner pulls over. Charles wonders if it goes to if it's like part of a tunnel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to get second opinions on what it's a part of.
Marty's looking at it closely, and he says the wood is not cut by a circular saw. It has these wider cuts into it, not like really close together like you'd see in a modern piece of equipment.
Correct.
And Marty just says it's out of place.
I'd agree, Marty.
And then so Michael John, did he switch teams, or like is he freelance? He just goes wherever he's needed.
Michael John is a treasure hunter, and that's why he's at the wash table. And I would like to point out that when Michael John first came on, like Steve was in charge of Michael John at the wash table and like finding things, and he's like telling them what we're looking for, and he goes, "Good job, Michael." And then at the end of their little wash table exchange, he goes, Good eyes, Steve. Good job." I was like, ooh, someone's in charge. So the apprentice has now become the master.
Okay. So we got Steve-O. Isn't that what he called him?
Probably.
I think he called him Steve-O.
Steve-O Guppy.
Well, it's Guppy to us.
It's
Huggy Guppy, in fact.
I mean,
he looks very huggable.
In perfect huggable form right now.
Yeah.
I would like to point. So we have talked to him several times.
Yeah.
And he has said in interviews with us how, and Laird has pointed out his duffel bag of clothes he brings to the island so that because he doesn't like to be cold. So he wears a lot of layers. And we've seen him wear layers all the way up to, say, that tan jacket.
Yep.
He's got an additional 2 coats on top of that.
Look at his leg there in this image. It looks like he's got like 2 or 3 pairs of pants on too.
He probably does.
This guy was cold. There's not a snowflake on the ground either, by the way.
Literally, when this came up, I just lost it. I couldn't stop laughing. And I was like, look at him. And look what Michael John is wearing.
Hoodie.
He is in a hoodie.
He's got a beanie on too.
Okay.
He's
He's
cold.
in a hoodie. There's no way he's got 4 pairs of pants on.
No.
Steve probably has 3 pairs of pants and 1, 2, 3 jackets, probably
And
a
a
couple hoodies, and who knows how many shirts.
He's got like 5 layers on. And the first thing I thought of was like the little brother in Christmas Story. He's like, I can't put my arms down. He's so bundled up.
Oh,
Yeah.
can you imagine
Anyway.
hugging that guy right there and be like, poof?
I'd give him a bear hug. It'd be fine. Yeah. So
I'm sorry.
anyway,
It is just hilarious.
good old Steve, and they are working hard together. They do find some things on the wash table like this, what we're seeing on the screen now.
And they don't know what it is.
Well, Steve's like, it could be a rock. And I'm thinking, duh. Steve. Or it could be a piece of wood.
Uh-huh.
But then he noticed that it looked a little bit crispy.
Yeah.
So it looked like it could be a piece of charcoal, and that's
Uh-huh.
significant because that's something they can do a lot of testing on.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen it last year with our friend, mostly Aaron Taylor,
Yep.
doing a lot of testing on the charcoal. Found,
Bet they take it to Laird and say, "Is this a rock?"
and he's like, "Sorry to crush your dreams, Steve."
It's a rock. But things are looking up
What's that?
because they do find something else.
Is that a rock?
Yes, but I think him and Michael John had agreed it looks like concrete. And I
Yeah.
definitely agree with that in
What's in
what
it?
they've pulled up. I don't know. You asked if it was a string or something, and
I
it
thought-
does.
I thought it was like a little piece of metal.
Yeah, a piece of metal, but it looks, I don't know. I thought coconut fiber, but it does look like a piece of string
Yeah,
or
it
something.
It could be
embedded in
fibrous.
there.
Fibrous, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they found something that looked like a little chunk of cement. So is it? Don't know. Not sure. But
And I think this is the spoils they're pulling out right now. So,
yeah.
I mean, that's relevant to what they've been doing, considering they just found puddle clay.
Puddle clay.
Could it be?
All right. So that's it for the
Wash
wash
table.
table. We go back to the money pit where they're continuing the dig. The casing at this point is at 174 feet.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're pulling out. So this is the zone of interest.
Yes.
This is where Craig, especially, I think, is getting nervous and excited.
Well, yeah.
I mean, he has excitement. They all do. But look at Craig's face in this image.
He
I mean,
looks-
he's like, this is it. 'Cause
He
picked this-
looks really nervous.
He picked this one.
Yes.
This hole. So, yeah. Marty notes that suddenly the can is going down very fast. Like it's just sinking.
Yeah. And Rick's like, is that like 6 feet? Like instantly? And Danny, he trots over.
Yeah. Well, Danny says that they think they've broken a record with the speed.
I've never seen anything like that. I was thinking, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the hammer grab pulls something out after that, and it's just soupy.
Yeah.
It's just like a bunch of muck. And Craig went over and looked, and he said, "I don't think there's anything special in there." And
he looked defeated. It was sad.
yeah, because like they were in the zone of interest, and then suddenly they were out of the zone of interest because they just sunk all the way, and that was it. They were down to bedrock basically.
And my thought was, is that an indicator of where the solution channel? Because I'm very curious. I can't remember. I need to go back to my old notes about the solution channel. And we talked a little bit on the pregame for this episode
Yeah.
about the chapel vault moving, right?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, like, let's say the vault is in the solution channel and it's moving around, right? It's got a lot of gusto, and you put a can down, it's like a mud lake. You know what really sucks would be let's say you just keep putting them down in things and it's getting pushed around. It feels like they need just a big piece of rebar to put in there, because then, like, something that it couldn't go around. So like some of these holes, you're sinking some rebar in there, and so you've got like this ping pong thing. Pinball thing.
How sure are we that this, whatever the solution channel is, could move a freaking vault potentially full of very heavy gold, silver, and whatever?
Why
else?
wouldn't it? I mean, if, let's say, the solution
is
channel,
it watertight? Is it floating?
No, but okay, so it's like a heavy, thick, but it's like a lake under there. Of course, it's going to be thicker than like lake water. But if it isn't all busted up and there's still some pieces together, it would make sense that it could slide around, and then you're like chasing this moving object. Think about the toonie, right?
Yeah.
And that isn't after you've created a force of something going down to move it.
Yeah, but toonie is like a couple ounces. I'm talking like hundreds and thousands of potential pounds. I just don't see a vault like that slushing around. Like, maybe, okay, they had that one animation where they were potentially pushing it, and it was like pushing it out of the way and sinking. And I can buy that, but I can't buy like the whole thing floating around in there back and forth.
Well, what if it's bedrock, right? It's not going to fall through the bedrock. That's why they don't go through the anhydrite.
Okay. But like, I'm talking about laterally. I don't see it moving back and forth whatsoever.
Well, we brought that up when we interviewed Steve before, and he was like, oh, no, it moves. Like, we know where this was and this was. So why wouldn't I put giant pieces, like, whatever, my pinball theory, and your pegs in there, so that if it were potentially there, it wasn't moving around. That is all.
You just need to find the Flintstones pinball game now, and the circle will be complete.
Yeah.
Because they're from the town of Bedrock.
Well, look at that. They probably know all about the bedrock and vaults moving around.
And it's a place right out of history.
It is. Just like Oak Island. Look at that.
There you go. All right. So, pinball theory. I like that.
Not. Yeah, it was my pinball.
Yeah.
Pinball
Gotcha.
Something.
Yes.
Proposal.
There you go. All right. So Peter at this point says 4 cans, no results, and he's pretty sad too.
Yeah.
There's disappointment kind of etched on everybody's faces. There's an animation. Go forward on the slides here, because
look at that beautiful map there.
Yeah, here's who's that map? Is that Craig's maps?
It's a Steve map that's been printed and is on a clipboard for Craig or whoever is working.
Yep, keep going. Let's see what's next. Oh, there it is. They just missed it. Hey, Deidre and I have said this for years. You know what I'm going to say?
I know what you're going to say, because even I'm annoyed.
Well, why don't you say it?
You're off by an inch. You're off by a mile.
That's
kind of looks like what happened per this animation.
Yeah, so literally the animation showed just missing the chapel vault by a matter of inches, and you just never know. I mean, that could be factual. Basically, they could have missed it by that much, and then they're like, "Well, spoiler alert. Let's go back over to C1." But yeah, it's
everybody's sad. Crushed because they put down 4 cans.
Yeah,
right, and they have pulled out a lot of stuff, but not really what they're looking for.
Yep.
Everybody's sad. We had a Dan Hinsky sighting.
Oh yeah.
And Billy and the whole crew out there kind of being like, wah, wah.
They needed a hug at that point,
Yep. They needed a huggy guppy.
That's why he's wearing the big clothes. That's why he's wearing all those coats.
He was like, I got you guys. I'll take one for the team. I will allow the hugs.
He's like a big
and then
teddy
everybody
bear.
will go around and be like, poof.
What color was his coat? Blue?
Blue, yeah.
He's a big blue teddy bear.
He's a big...
Yeah.
Give him some oxygen, yo.
Yep. So we have a war room meeting.
Yes.
Looks like we have Craig. We have the big three, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Rick, Marty, and Craig. We got Charles Barkhouse, Jack Begley, Stephen Guptill.
We got
Scott Barlow and Billy Gearhart. As far as we know, there might have been someone else a little bit closer to the camera. Not sure.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's where Dan Hensky likes to sit.
He does. He likes to hide there.
Yeah. So we have this war room meeting, and the guys are strategizing just kind of what to do with the rest of the year.
Yeah, because they've got, they put down 4 cans. They're going to analyze what they got, but, everybody's kind of disappointed. And then someone decides to lighten the mood a little bit. Well,
Rick, he's like, well, guys, there is an opportunity for a 5th can. And Deidre and I looked at each other like what? Like, I did not think this was going to happen.
No. So. And they talk about going back to the C1 cluster area, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And let's see. The team. Oh, there was a flashback that showed Spooner doing his water testing, and Clotworthy was explaining, like, hey, this is kind of the area where we're pulling up the most gold hits. So might as well go back in there. Marty says, well, you know what? Let's do it. It was that easy.
He said, we have time. Let me be very clear here. It is November 15th.
When they had this meeting?
At 10:53 a.m. that this meeting commences.
Okay.
It is November 15th.
They're
and they're like, yeah, we had time for a 5th can.
They're a month away from Christmas.
Say what? What do you mean? When did the season premiere air?
In November.
Yeah. And you remember when we did our pregame with the guys? They're like, and Scott was there.
Yeah.
Right. Was. And he's like, oh, but we're not done yet.
Ooh.
And I was like, wait.
What?
And because I knew it seemed like it was kind of a long season. But now I look back at that pregame. I mean, I'm putting things together like, Laird saying there was another footwear find this year. When we talked about Columbus's shoe, and now we have a president's shoe, and then Scott, who has named this can, is like, oh, we're not done yet. Okay, I bet you Scott just got to pick that can like the day before or something. I need to know when it aired, because
it aired, looks like somewhere around November 7th, so a week before this.
Okay. And so Scott knew something.
Well, he's the one that got to name this can, so he knew lots of things.
So, and this meeting happened on the 15th.
Yeah. So Marty's like, let's do it. Rick says that they should go somewhere around EC1 in the C1 cluster.
Well, let's look at the map. That makes sense, right?
Yeah. Well, they got really high concentrations of gold and silver in the water samples. And they said, Scott, it has to have a name. Will you do the honors?
And because he was very quickly adamant that they go back to the C1 area. He's like, if we're going to do that, then we need to get out of this other area and go back to the C1.
Man, I bet that made Craig feel great.
Oh, whatever.
That was his area. But yeah. They asked, so what did he name it? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Oh, it's right there.
Oh, well, I was going to put... So, B4C is what he named it, because the location of the new caisson is BC4. Yeah. And he said it was B4 caisson. I was like, what? And I was like, Scott, maybe original would be good. Maybe, I don't know, something sentimental.
He had a rhyme to his reason.
There was no rhyming. It was just straight, like, that's what it says. That's what it is.
It was his reason.
I agree. Good job, Scott. And you know what? If Scott has Maybe Scott found the treasure.
Maybe when he joined Oak Island, they found the treasure.
Maybe
Scott Barlow's a
Scott
good
was
guy.
the treasure.
That's what I'm saying.
And wait,
what?
This is the map I've been waiting for years.
Uh-oh.
Does anybody else see this? Because I caught it.
What? I don't even see it. What am I
Where's
supposed to be seeing?
In the upper left hand corner.
Uh-oh.
I have been dying to get a key on this map for some of the coloring that's going on in the money pit grid. And because I want to know what the yellow and the red markings were. I knew. So at the top, if you look closely, you can see the surface location of the borehole. And, it's the little trigger point where you see the kind of yellowing colors in those little spaghetti lines. That is where they get a wood hit. And then the red circle is when you hit 100-foot depth. The blue circle is 150-foot depth.
Wow.
I saw that and changed my life.
Whoa.
I cannot wait to continue updating these maps because now we have a much better 3D idea of where the walks are and where the wood hits are. I don't have to go back in my little notes and be like, oh, they hit wood at this mark. No, where there's yellow wood was hit. Bada bing, bada boom.
Yay. I'm happy that you're happy.
Oh, I am thrilled.
Okay, can we move on?
I guess.
All right, so we go back out to the money pit, and it briefly, and this is extremely brief, that it shows B4C, Scott's case on.
Mm-hmm.
They're starting to work for it.
Yes.
All right.
Sorry, I'm
What's wrong? What's wrong with you? You want to keep advancing, or do you? Oh, look, there's a smiling Rick.
That's a happy Rick for a 5th case.
He's like, yay! My brother approved a 5th can. Woohoo!
Woo-hoo!
All right.
In November.
So this shows
the highest. That shows the highest hit of gold.
Yeah.
In the water chemistry for those interested.
Cool.
And wrapping up with that. And then
you didn't even catch a screenshot of them getting work underway, but you caught a lot of screenshots, so I appreciate what you did. All right, then we have another war room.
Dun dun dun
with a friend of ours,
Corian Mole,
making an appearance. Yeah, Corian Mole. So it's really good to see him back on the screen.
Look, I just noticed that.
BB-8.
BB-8 also makes an appearance.
Yeah, it's a droid from Star Wars. All right, cool. So we have a meeting with Corian Mole and Judy Rudabush was on hand.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a presentation about a connection with Portugal on Doug's request.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Doug gives Corian the stage. He goes into talking about how Portugal has an incredible Knights Templar history.
Correct.
There is a little clot-worthy interjection here where he says that between the 12th and 14th centuries, the Knights Templar were a powerful order. They lasted in Portugal longest with the Order of Christ. And they believe, I think it was Corian that said he believed that those brotherhoods were kind of one and the same.
Yeah.
Portugal made kind of the best maps around the time period, and those were likely made by Templars.
Well, what he's saying is that your likelihood, so Templars on their expedition, like they would have made these maps as they went along because you'd be bringing it back over. And so if you want maps from that century, you need to go to Portugal because in England and like the archives that would have had their maps were all burnt down.
Yeah. Well, no, I think they were destroyed too, like on purpose.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like they were purposefully destroyed.
Yeah. What did they say? England and France and places like that. Yeah, they would have all their records destroyed. But Portugal didn't do that.
Portugal, and he said one other one, but Portugal was the main one
because
they had protection over there.
Exactly. Yeah. So Doug said that the Order of Christ may have been looking for Templar treasure itself. Templar artifacts and documents. You already mentioned that were destroyed, but good old Portugal kept them around. Corian says that he wanted to put boots on the ground and go check it out.
Oh, he was very straightforward about that. He's like, you like need to go. Need to go.
I think he's basically saying, I'm going, you come with me if you want.
Yeah. I mean, here's what I'm doing. Would you like to come, I guess?
Yeah. So they show like some, or I think Corian had a couple of examples of like buildings by Templars that are still standing to this day.
Some important ones.
Yeah. I didn't catch the name of them because it was going by so quick.
One of them was the Fonte Arcadia, which was the earliest foundry in Portugal. And then I do not remember the name of the other one. There is a picture of it.
A church.
Yeah, there was a church. And then also he has examples of maps he's showing of like, hey, these maps in Portugal from their expeditions, they have Nova Scotia on them. Like they're mapped out from this time period. So it makes sense that you would want these.
Nova France, sure.
Right?
Franca. Yeah.
So that's a picture of the church, and I think it was the oldest one with the affiliation.
So the first, so you're flipping through the images here, and you had that's the Knight Templar cross, right? And the next
as we knew it before.
And this is the Order of Christ. Yeah, pretty neat.
I mean, that's quite the connection there. And then
is that the Nina, the Pinta, or the Santa Maria? None of the above.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. So and then they
want to go boots on the ground.
They want to go boots on the ground, and I think who was it, Rick maybe, that said he wanted to go check it out and look for inscriptions or information about exploration. Might have been Doug, but Marty says that they should go and plan this expedition.
Marty's like, who wants a field
He's
trip?
like, I'm not gonna go. But
I'm gonna go drill holes all over your island if you can handle that. If you want to go,
yeah. Well, Corian gets to go on this field trip across the sea with Rick, and I think Peter, Alex is there too, I believe, right?
Yeah. So Corian, Rick, Peter, and Alex are all there.
Oh, thank goodness! Peter does so well in like Templar structures.
Okay, before we get to the next time on, so they kind of wrap up his presentation here of all in favor of going, like say aye, and everybody's like aye, and then like 5 seconds later Corian's like, if it's to Portugal, aye. They all kind of laugh at him. They're like, well, that's where we're sending you.
And he fits in well with this crew.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and then we have the credits in the lovely Ark of the Covenant.
Yes, which is hiding on Oak Island.
Yeah. So that's kind of it. That's the whole episode.
Yeah.
In a
nutshell.
In a hot take.
Yes. And what we were just talking about was the next time on, we see them in Portugal.
Yeah.
Doing their
field trip.
Doing their field trip. What we were saying is, okay, so we've all screenshot and shared the image of Peter when he is at the Templar prison in Dome, France with Rick, and the guy that's showing him around.
How'd they carve that?
Right?
Oh, with their fingernails and their teeth.
And then Peter looks mortified. He is just like terrified. And on the next time on, there's a shot of him and Alex like looking at a wall and like touching it that looks just like the other one. And they've been making fun of him forever about that. So keep an eye out. Let's see if he makes any faces or if he redeems himself and it's like they used to use their teeth.
That's sketch.
It is sketch. But I think after these few years, he can handle it now because he knows what's coming.
Yep.
Oh,
All
that's
right.
a heck of a field trip. That's not just to the farm or. And then we saw Laird looking on, was that like the X-ray machine with the encrusted?
Yeah, he's in the archaeology trailer doing something,
Mhm.
and yeah,
And yes, in the archaeology trailer, or it might be the
research center,
I was going with
interpretive center,
yeah,
where they have the CT scanner.
yes, that one. I think they're using the CT scanner to see past the encrusting because he's like the way he's zooming in with it.
Yeah,
and he's like, "This is not English," and Umar's like, "Portuguese." Laird looks excited and definitive, like yes. And to get Laird excited is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, but you got to be aware that they do like to mess with editing tricks.
I'm no dummy.
They like to do editing tricks on us. So.
They do get me sometimes, but it still looks pretty cool, which is exciting.
Yeah, and Gary said something about finding some kind of trophy find.
Yeah,
trophy something. He's like, this is a trophy.
Yeah, while they're gone on the field trip, him and Marty are out there he's really excited. He's like jumping around.
He should be like, hey, Marty, you need to dig.
What I want you to do.
Yeah.
Maybe they find another, a piece of the breastplate for to go with.
Maybe.
You never know.
Yeah. Hey, we want to say thanks to everybody for coming out and joining us tonight because we just didn't know how this was going to work out. And I think it worked out okay.
Yeah, it worked out okay. We'd be happy to hear your feedback. It was a quick turnaround.
Deidre made 79 different slides for this in literally
that's what I sent you.
An hour. So
I screenshotted a lot.
Yeah, well, you did great.
That's why I sent you.
We all appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Because teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah. So we hope you enjoyed this. We're going to try it again next week, and we'll see how it goes. I want to just thank everybody for being here.
Yes.
And it's good to be back.
So this is a not as in-depth one.
Not quite as in-depth. Yeah, but if you want an in-depth one, we can point you in the right direction.
Yes.
Like you could go to any of the places you're hearing this right now. I think any of the podcast players or YouTubes or Facebooks.
Is there multiple? I guess there is. There's YouTube Music.
Yep. And then you could go and find the Curse of Oak Island
and beyond.
They
have a Facebook group. And
they do. They're really great people, and they do a recap as well. And they take a little more time to take notes and stuff. We took notes tonight, but it was rushed.
But
it wasn't like we usually do.
They take notes and still get it out the next day. Which
good on them.
Impressive, and we like them. So
good on them. Yeah, well, they're good people. They're very good people. Very nice. So go and check them out. We highly recommend them because, like we said, they're just good peeps.
Yep. And where can you find us?
Oh, we have to do. I haven't done that in a while.
Yeah, I know.
You could go to www.oakislandpodcast.com.
You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Oak Island Podcast, on Twitter at Oak Island Pod.
You can email us at oakislandpodcast@gmail.com.
Correct.
Hey, and you know what? I gotta we haven't done stuff for so long. I gotta email this week that says we need somebody to call us on our Oak Island hotline, or we're going to lose the phone number. So why don't somebody give us a call, and then maybe we could play it on the next episode. 360-836-4549. We need a phone call by I don't know, within a couple of weeks, or else it's going to go away forever. No.
Also, we didn't mention you can find us on YouTube at OakIslandPodcast.com. I know there's quite a few of you that like to
OakIslandPodcast.com on YouTube. How about on YouTube.com/OakIslandPodcast?
Yeah, I was just meant to go at Oak Island Podcast, and that didn't go so well.
Yeah,
but whatevs.
And you can also support us on Patreon if you would like it. You can go check it out. It's patreon.com/OakIslandPodcast, and we'll love you forever. We want to thank everybody that came to chat tonight. And I'm sorry, like I see some names in the chat that I know live on the East Coast, and it is after midnight there. So thank you so much for.
It is literally the next day.
Yeah.
They are here from the future.
Yeah, like Trisha, I know she lives on the East Coast. So, and Claire, she's from Australia, so she's already in tomorrow.
Like, yes, the East Coast and Australia are like future.
But then we have like Superfan Susan here.
Superfan Susan!
Who lives
I love that.
She lives in Alaska.
Yes.
And so it's not quite as late for her. It's not so bad.
I mean,
we're probably,
it's a bummer. It's kind of late.
This is really good for people in Alaska this time, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe Hawaii's probably even a little bit better because it's not so late.
I'd like to be in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Now.
Oh, Dino says he's from New York too. I'm so sorry. Well, go get some sleep, y'all.
And thank you for giving us some of your time.
Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to do or say?
Nope. So until next time.
Could it be?